FX was popping, so I'm doing a lot of back testing, just trying to back up my theory that risk reward doesn't really matter and it really doesn't make a huge difference what happens or what risk reward you take. So I've been taking a lot of trades. I've been back testing a lot. I deleted a whole bunch, and then I was like, oh, I should make this video, so I had to do a whole bunch more. So it would have been a lot more back testing, but I have done a lot more than just the few pairs that I have right here. But what I've been doing is just going back through, trading the way that I trade on the higher time frame, swing trading, everything. Break retest, selling off resistance, buying support, everything. And what I've found is since I've compared all of those trades to with different risk rewards, what I found is that they all perform different at different times. It really doesn't make a difference. This whole section from here to here, maybe living a little bit farther. So not a whole bunch of trades, but 1-to-1 was -1%. 1-to-0.5 was 4.5%. 1-to-0.2 would have literally performed better than all the higher risk rewards. Literally would have outperformed them. Risking 1% to get 0.2% would have made you more money than a 1-to-3 in this scenario. Right? We go to the next one. Go back through. 1-to-0.2, a 1-to-1, and a 1-to-3. 1-to-3 would have performed better. It would have got 3% more than a 1-to-1. It would have got 13% more than a 1-to-0.2, right? Even though you won 45 and lost 2, you would have made a lot more with the 1-to-3. Let's keep going. Again, 1-to-0.2, 0.5, and a 1-to-1. The 1-to-1 outperformed, right? So you can start seeing a trend where it really doesn't make that crazy of a difference. 1-to-3 would have made 24%, would have beat all of these, every single one. A 1-to-0.2 would have beat a 1-to-0.5, would have almost beat a 1-to-2, almost tied a 1-to-2, right? 1-to-1 had the second highest at 13%. Keep going. 1-to-1 had 8%, 1-to-3 had 8%, 1-to-2 had 12%. 1-to-0.5 would have beat a 1-to-1 and a 1-to-3. 1-to-0.2 underperformed again. All right, the last few ones. 1-to-1, 0.5, and 0.1. The 0.5 outperformed all of them. And then I think this is the last one. Or here, 1-to-3 was 10%, 1-to-1. 1-to-3 performed better this time. 1-to-3 was 12%, 1-to-1 was 14%, 1-to-0.5 was 10%. Okay, and then that should be it. That's the last one. So I've done all of this back testing, and I've also done more beyond this. And I've also went back at the end of the weeks and just seen, okay, well, out of all the potential trades, what would have performed the best? Like last week was 1-to-1s. 1-to-1s would have performed the best. Now, going through all of this, what I've seen that has performed the worst, the most consistently, has been anything under a 1-to-0.5 and anything above a 1-to-3. I think I forgot to do this one too. 1-to-1 outperformed these. Yeah, I forgot. I knew there was more on here. And then a 1-to-0.2 outperformed these. So most likely would outperform the 1-to-3 and 1-to-2 also. So I knew there was more on this one. And then 1-to-1 outperformed it this time. But yeah, the ones that I've seen that have performed the worst, the most consistently, has been a 1-to-1 point or a 1-to-0.1, 1-to-0.2, 1-to-0.3, and then anything above a 1-to-3 or a 1-to-4. So if you go like 1-to-5s and up, then it starts to perform even worse, right? And the reason why the 1-to-0.2s and 1-to-0.1s don't work that well is because when you win, you just win so little, right? You win a lot. You win 95+% of the time. You just make so little when you win. And if you take a loss, it sets you back so far. And then when you go too high, when you're at 1-to-5s and above, what happens is you just lose so often that it's just hard to, you have so many almost every single time you take a trade, you're going to lose. You know, you're going to have so many losing streaks. I think that side is going to give you a horrible psychology. You're just going to lose so often, and it's going to put you in a really bad mental state. And I don't think that's a good way to approach trading. So anything from a 1-to-0.5 a 1 to 1, 1 to 2, 1 to 3, I think is a really good range to stick in. As you can see, there's times where a 1 to 1 is better. There's times where a 1 to 0.2 is better, a 1 to 0.5, a 1 to 3, a 1 to 2. The 1 to 2 is also the one that oddly performs really bad a lot of the time. It's like, I don't know. Sometimes it's won a few times, but the 1 to 2 just honestly doesn't do well very often. But any risk reward at the end of the day, if you're taking a 1 to 0.1, if you're going under that, if you're doing a 1 to 0.2, if you're doing a 1 to 10, will make you money. You just have to understand the psychology benefits that go into it, and that's the main thing that really matters. So if you go really, really low with a 1 to 0.1, a 1 to 0.2, what's happening is you're going to win 95% of the time. So your psychology is going to be really good going into every trade. You're going to almost expect to win every single trade, right? So that's going to give you really good psychology. But then when you lose a lot, right? And the same thing with 1 to 1s. Like if you go in every single trade, you can be like, oh, I win one. If I lose one, all right, at least I'm break even, right? Or if I lose one, I have to win one more, I'm break even. And you go in every single trade understanding that, and also understanding that you're probably going to end up anywhere from 60 to 65% accurate. If you're 50, you're going to be a little less than break even because of the fees and commissions and all that stuff. But then when you go higher, the psychology benefit of that is that you understand that you don't have to win a lot of trades. You can win, 1 out of every 4 trades and still be either break even or maybe a little bit of profit, right? But the downside to that is that that's going to happen very often. You're very often going to have times where you lose 3, 4, 5 trades in a row because of the risk reward that you're trying to get. So these people out here being like, oh, you only have to win 20 or 30% of the time to be profitable. Well, that's probably all you're going to win. It's not like them saying like, oh, well, this is the minimum, but if you get up to 60% accurate, like, is it possible? Yeah. Is it likely? No. Could it happen? Maybe once in a while, but it's not going to be a normal thing. You're going to have so many losing streaks that I just don't think it really makes that much sense to go high risk reward. It makes more sense to take 1 to 1s or 1 to 0.5s or something around that range to where you know that you're going to win a lot more of the time, because you're going to end up in the same spot regardless. You're going to end up at the same destination. It's just a different path to get there. So why not take the one that makes it easier? So as I've shown through all of these, like, sometimes the 1 to 3 will completely outperform everything, but sometimes it's negative. Sometimes it's way worse than even a 1 to 0.1, right? It just matters about the time and the situation. But after, thousands of trades, after years and years of trading, let's say one person is trading with this, and one is with this, and one is with this, and there's 6 different people taking trades, and they're all taking the exact same trades every single time. They're all probably going to end up roughly around the same spot. These guys might underperform a little bit. Anything higher than this, I think, will underperform a little bit. But anything in this range from a 0.5 to a 1 to 3, I think will end up roughly around the same spot. I really do. I really don't think it makes that big of a difference. I think these you make just a little bit too small of a profit when you win, and then you go above it, you lose too often. I think it'll start to fuck you up mentally. But that's what I think, and I really have, I think, proven to myself, and you people can take whatever you want to take. I think I've proven that it really doesn't matter. I've done a lot of back testing. I wish I didn't delete. There was like 5 other ones on here that had a lot more. But it still shows the same thing. Risk reward really doesn't matter at the end of the day. All that matters is the psychology benefit that you get from it, which is a high win rate, or you make a lot more on the winners than you lose on the losers. That's literally it. It's just numbers. It's just statistics written down on a piece of paper of all these gurus saying that you have to take this, this, and this. You have to take 1 to 2s and 1 to 3s to make money. You can take whatever the fuck you want. And if it works for you, it works for you, and you'll make money. That's it. Just stay consistent. Pick one of these. Pick a 1 to 1 flat and just do it for a month straight. Take every single trade that you think is possible, and you'll see what happens. Take this, take this, take this. Whatever you want to do, man. So, end of the day, risk reward really doesn't matter. And that's something that caught me up for a long time, was taking high risk rewards and thinking that was the only way to be successful. It's not. OFX out.